Very good evening, everyone. This is Babu Nair. First of all, welcome to Wi-Fi for empowering the women in technology. First of all, just about banking frontiers and financial technology frontiers before I go to the Wi-Fi for those who are coming for the first time and we are not connected before. Uh, we run a magazine called as Banking Frontiers in India for last 23 years in financial services and technologies. And here in North America, we are called as Financial Technology Frontiers, where we have a digital platform which basically takes up all the current trends in the financial services and acts as a bridge to connect financial innovations and financial technologies together. So we have created a very important pillar of ours called as skill building pillar, and in which we are trying to see how we can create inclusion and better engagement with the industry. So we have created this concept called as Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is basically to empower the women in financial and fintech industry to get into newer levels of growth. And we have created four pillars within Wi-Fi: elevate, engage, empower, and enterprise. Elevate being to boost women's career skills in tech and elevate their positions from mid level to the top levels. Engage is basically to foster connections and networking opportunities for women who are basically coming back to the industry. Empower is for providing resources and supporting growth for women who are new to the industry, and enterprise is for women who are entrepreneurs and who want to go to the next level. So, we are creating ecosystems integration where we are blending our existing programs, existing ecosystems with enhanced mentorship programs. So, what we are trying to do here is we are blending the existing ecosystems of training. So we need your support and understanding about what are all those existing ecosystems with which we can collaborate and we can bring enhanced mentorship to it. So the mentorship will be provided by leaders like you, who would all be connected to this community and who would all offer some part of your time to mentor those women who are either from empower, engage, elevate, or enterprise categories. We will have HR collaborations where we will collaborate with the HR teams of the banks and financial institutions for efficient onboarding. Then we will have leadership engagement where we will partner with CXOs to shape the Wi-Fi cohort members. And then finally, we will look at sustainability, how we can make it as a sustainable activity by engaging with the existing government related supports or from CSR supports of organization or HR related or training related support from the financial institutions, technology companies, and financial institutions as well. And finally, what are the expectations and goals of this? We will look at identifying what kind of mentorship activities can be generated, what kind of partnerships we can build, and what kind of community building. We are planning to create a lot of community ambassadors uh, amongst all of you, through whom we can actually try to see how we can empower more and more women. So we will identify the gap analysis, government support, corporate integration, and budget utilization of all these funds which we are get available for either inclusion or for CSR or for HR traction. So today's session, we will have session enterprise and elevate for investment, and basically for investment and for elevate is basically for those executives who want to go from mid to the top. So Mercy Komar is a global leader in the area of insurance and cybersecurity and cyber insurance. She has spent several years in the field of insurance and has been an authority. We have had some wonderful interactions with her in the past, and it is really a privilege for me to have Mercy with us as a moderator for this entire conversation, and she has readily agreed to be a part of this.
The technology, I think, in those prolonged gaps has got to be great because you can all see by my gray hair, I've been in the business for a lot of years, and that technology gap, even leaving 2 years, things have changed so dramatically in the last couple of years in technology, and getting anybody back up to speed, women, men, anybody, bringing them back in and saying, okay, here's where you left off. How do we bring you forward? How do we get you back up to where you should be? And that is a big gap.
So there's Access Employment, which is very specific to Toronto, who work with not only immigrants, they actually work with women, especially in this situation where they have gaps. And you have TRIAC, but that's specifically for the immigrant network. You have a gap. So they have, again, specific programs in your field. But the other part, the other main thing that we should remember is a lot of universities have, go back to work programs. Again, many of them are funded partially by government or wholly by government. So something that we can actually go through and look, okay, which are, I'm talking, these are universities like Rotman has something similar, and how much of it, like some of it is funded versus whether if there are you in a position to like fund it yourself. So we could categorize it by what's available readily. As well as there's also a question, are we supposed to create something like that within this forum that would help people at least navigate through their gaps? So I work with a lot of women who have had a lot of gaps. And I'm talking about 90. I worked recently with somebody who had 19 years of gap. That being said, and there was another one with 11. Very different. One of them had like a lot of experience, great programmer, versus the other one was in Europe, and she has a finance background at the same time. She has been fundraising all these years, which she never mentioned. So I asked, okay, why wouldn't you go back? Like that's something very valuable in Canada, right? Like that fundraising experience. You don't have, because you have a finance degree doesn't mean that you have to be like in processing or a financial analyst. Right. Your experience in the past 11 years was fundraising. So having that, okay, that to navigate that and then go, like courses are there readily available, but before we even go there, first are the set of questions you need to realize and answer. And she didn't even think about it unless I had the conversation with her, right? Like she's right now in Nova Scotia and not in Toronto. But so there is some logistic issues, like not everything is available in Nova Scotia, like as much as is in Ontario. So there are like, when I'm thinking about all of this, like since I've met people and I have been trying to mentor on the side, like these are not like through official channels. It's often through LinkedIn that I meet these people, or somebody's reaching out for something totally different, and then I end up doing this. But at the same time, I have been there. Like I have had a 3.5 years gap before I joined, because I had twins in Canada. Simple as that. And it's, initially, again, I never thought I would join a banking industry, right? Like, because I'm from insurance nonetheless. Technology wise, it's the same. So when I met somebody from the banking, he's like, hey, and then I had quite a lot to say about it. But one thing that I did along that time was make sure that I was aware of what's happening. Technology wise, not much improvement had happened in those 3.5 years, but products wise, what was happening in Canada, all that changed. Like payments modernization was the biggest plus. So thinking of that and moving into banking, like it just happened, right? Like I wish somebody had told me that before. Perhaps I have started looking before.
Sure.
Or like, yeah. So those are the things. I feel like rather than getting to that course, the course itself should have a professor, a pre-course to it to see, hey, which one fits you the best? What was the gap about? Yeah.
So you're going into mentoring, which is the next question. Bringing these ladies together with someone such as you that says, okay, let's look at what you've been doing, because you're right. She had been doing all that fundraising. That is a difficult job. I mean, that is not something I would want to do. And it's not to be considered frivolous by any means. That is something important. So how do you go about mentoring these women? How do we set a standard, or how do we do it, Arthiy? Do we do one-on-one? Is that the best way to do it?
Initially, I think everyone should have a one-on-one. At least, I'm sure people here, like everybody here, has come forward because they want to contribute. And I think that was also I don't know, I haven't talked to Babu before. I have only yeah, gone through what he does and things. But at the same time, maybe the point is to build that into this program as well, and how to and at the same time, there's a question like how to structure this so that you don't overburden the advisors and mentors. I have also had that experience, unfortunately, where someone yeah, you're starting to mentor somebody, and this was through a formal channel, by the way, and I tried quite a bit, right? But yeah, there are times where it does take a toll on you, especially depending on how they interact with you, and it can be demanding.
Yeah.
But also there is not an expectation, so there's usually a timing that's set. It's up to you to carry on past that timing, but you can always stop at that moment too, because sometimes it can get maybe you can't do much because there's not much input from the other side, but then there is constant ask. Things like that can happen, but at the same time, when we start, if you want to put together two things, one is that think of it as an advisor. That's exactly what it says. One advisor, and then look through what maybe that person can, and it doesn't even have to be from the same industry, right? Like somebody might have experience in something else, but in Canada, what works right now? I know Geetika, she's from payments, so I know the payments world. I know what it can do, and I also know people who are in that world whom could I might know somebody who knows a developer, for example. So that connection matters, and for somebody who has not had that connection for a lot of years, let's say, it's very difficult to start.
Geetika, how do you stop though from overburdening people? You have someone that you're going to mentor. There comes a point where you also have a job. You have your home and your family. We have to be able to say to these people, okay, this is the amount of time we're going to give you. How do we set that resources up? Are we going to give them hourly? Or are we going to give them weekly? Do we have a way of setting up I don't want to say we're like a counselor, but yes, we are a counselor. What do you think, Geetika?
I think, by the way, thank you for having me today. It's lovely to see. I like the casual setting of, having bouncing around questions and learning from other leaders in the industry. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So coming back to the question, by the way, there is the Stanford also offers the very first question. I know with other resources the leaders have mentioned. There is a Stanford Women in Business program. So there are these institutions who offer different workshops and networking opportunities as well. So we should just not look into local. I think we should also look virtual workshops which are taking place. You never know where you can get the inspiration and connections from, right? So that's one thing. Second thing, coming back to the question of how do we structure so that the mentors are not burdened. Like everyone wants to contribute, but there is a day job and they have a family and whatnot. I find that I like what Arthiy mentioned, to start with understanding, triaging what someone wants to do, where they have stopped there in career and now they're joining the workforce. Is this after 5 years, 10 years? Because the bigger the gap, the bigger, you'll have to serve it differently, that person versus someone who was just off for 2 years or 3 years, right? So having that initial understanding of where people are in terms of gap and what they want to do, then maybe perhaps group people based on these different, I guess, needs. And instead of, after that one-on-one understanding of someone, then you can start grouping people. I am interested in payments domain, I'm interested in insurance domain, I'm interested, saying. And then once you group people, then you can assign one mentor. So mentor is also like having a dedicated focused dialogue with someone the group wants to know.
Alexis, we haven't heard from you, and I have a question. Besides the government, who can we turn to for funding? because funding is going to be critical. Let's face it. We can either, how do we compensate people that are working? Alexis, you got any ideas?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to obviously like crowdfunding, there's tons of ways that we can kind of go about this. I think the first being kind of leaning on those larger organizations, Fortune 500, as I know they'll definitely kind of lean in and support groups that are encouraging women in the workforce, especially women in STEM. Not only does it make, the transition easier for us, however, it makes the workplace better and more diverse as those additional ideas and perspectives are shared. So I think anything, kind of outside of the government, there's also, like community groups that I'm also involved in. So women in STEM within your local community will also kind of provide mentorship, anything from like scholarships to the young individuals who are looking to kind of pursue their educational career. And then also kind of transitioning and like support groups for women who are looking to re-enter the workforce for the first time as well. And then the university that I attended also has groups as well that are interesting networks to tap into as well.
Can we engage with a lot of these people? Do this group itself, all of us that are sitting here, are all of you involved with organizations that we can engage with that can help either financially or other support wise? And Angie, is that something where you can be of benefit to us? Do you have any groups that you're working with that might help?
Yeah, so I'm personally a part of the Women in VC group as well as Women in Tech, Latinas Women in Tech. So I joined these groups because they are closely related to what I work with. And the way that we support each other is by having frequent meetings with each other, by being able to refer each other to our network in terms of being able to problem solve, have sort of mentorship opportunities there. And sort of like a buddy system, like if you know of jobs available, being able to refer them out to other people, being able to be used as references. And we just find that being able to have that community really creates a supportive aspect where you're not just going out there and searching for jobs alone. You have a career path of other women who have who are examples to you, who are able to guide you through your transition into either a new job or getting into the industry.
Good. Neris, have you got what is your idea as far as engaging with some of the nonprofits, or let's even not the nonprofits, let's talk about the Fortune 500 companies. So all of you are basically within organizations. Now, I belong to organizations too that can all rally together and be able to help in what we're looking at here, bringing women back into the workforce. And let's just move on to giving new young women, or not necessarily young, who are coming into the workforce, period, in a new venture situation where they've never been in a job before. And we've got to be training them. Do you have a lot of expertise, ladies, in starting basically a startup person? How do we guide young women who are coming into the business and bring them into finance and fintech? Because that is not, and I'm being in the insurance industry, insurance is kind of a boring industry as far as most people are concerned. Finance is sometimes a boring industry as far as young people are concerned. So how do we engage them and make them get interested in what we do? Rushmi, what do you think? How are we going to bring these younger people in?
Similar to Naraz, I'm in cybersecurity, and we in cybersecurity, oh my gosh, do we have a issue and challenge of attracting women, attracting individuals, because it's perceived to be first the men. It's a man's place. Unfortunate, but still, our industry in cyber, only 25% representation by women, and that it's dark, and that you have to be in the basement. You need to wear your hoodie. You can, it's for a certain kind of mindset.
Yeah.
You have to be devious. And so the women who joined the forces and came into cyber, I don't look like I'm in cyber, right? You don't look like you're in finance. But so when we speak from a place that, hey, I'm in cybersecurity, I'm a minority, I'm a woman, I'm mature, I made a career pivot, uh, and the more that we tell our stories, so
Yes.
as Angie was talking about the groups that she belongs to, and that's all about creating the visual accessibility, and when you see others doing it and you hear about their journeys, it's not easy, but you realize how fulfilled they are, that they found a place, they found their allies. It opens up the gateways. So I think it's a marketing thing. We got to market our
It's learning
careers
how to
better.
tell. Yes, it's learning how to tell the story. And the story
Yes.
is
Yeah.
important. It is very important. I've noticed with trying to bring young people into the insurance industry, if you can tell your story and how you progressed and how other people have progressed and what they're doing, it makes it more interesting for them. And let's face it, finance, Arthiy moved from insurance into banking. A lot of people move from banking into insurance, go back and forth. It has its some of the same interests in it, but yet it's different. But they both have massive verticals. You can move sideways in business so many different ways. And a lot of these ladies who are either coming in from being out for a while or are new can both need to know that they have so many different directions they can go in. And we need to be able to make sure that they understand that that's available to them. And I think that's important that we teach them how to tell their own story in order to get jobs. Okay. And
Right.
there's a lot of things that they need to be confident in. And it's very hard when you're young to be confident. Young people nowadays seem to have a lot of problems with that for some reason. And I think that's a shame because everybody has something that they're really good at. You just have to find it. And sometimes it takes you a lot of years to find what you're really good at. But if everybody keeps encouraging them, they'll find it eventually. So I think that there's a lot of things that this organization can do to help. But here's another question under both of them. How do we structure the fees? How do we structure if we are going to do this, if you're going to set up these programs, how do we pay for them? How do people pay for them? How do we charge for them? Anybody got any ideas on that one? Because I'm in America. I'm in a whole different, situation where I'm at, and it would be different for me. Anybody got any ideas, Arthiy?
Couple of, again, we can, if at all we are established and we can get some government funding, that's one way to go. I know it's a long road there, that can definitely, but then in Canada, there are options that government does help out, especially programs like this. But at the same time, you can also offer a sliding scale, have mentors contribute up to an extent. I would not say there's always value for your time, so you can't always push them. But I can tell you something. So I'm also part of Women in Payments, right? The mentorship program there, of course, if you're a C-suite executive and your company is going to fund for it, you'd want to go for it because it's in thousands of dollars.
Sure.
At the same time, somebody who doesn't have a job and is looking for, like, after a gap, I don't know how much, like, that is something we need to think about. And that's why maybe you need to think of other options too, right? Like, it's not something they might be able to pocket at the time. Many of these, people go for other programs if it's funded by the government, even if this might be more effective, let's say, argumentative, but still. So those are the things, like, you might have to start with, like, a, pay as you go or something like that. Like,
Okay.
something.
And somebody mentioned that there are scholarship programs a lot of the organizations give. So like the women in here where I'm at, there is a women in technology group that does give scholarships for women to take courses and things. And if you can get yourselves involved in that, there would be funding that way.
So maybe as part of this program, that is something we can incorporate. Hey, these are the ways you can, I'm not quite sure if that's something that we can do, But yeah, if let's say we have a structure, we should have a structure, and if there is a structure and let's say it's like X or Y dollars, and maybe you can apply for this scholarship, there might be some criteria that our program should have to qualify for this. We might
Sure.
have to, yes, we might have to look through that, and we can offer internships, something similar, or in lieu of the engagement itself. Not quite sure. So there's few ideas we can go by and see what works and what everybody agrees on. And obviously, time is something that, yeah, we would
Sure.
want from our mentors, right? Like, yes,
Yeah.
many of us work like hourly rates. When you look at that, we might not be able to, like, unless they put in like some pro bono work, it would not be feasible. I would have to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be difficult. But I think what you're trying to structure, and I'm looking at this from the outside, I think what you're trying to structure is a wonderful idea. I don't think there are enough places where you can bring it all together right now. I see everybody teaching, helping in one way or another, but if you can get it all together in one place so that you can get the mentoring and you can get the training. Nar says about the training budgets. Can these be leveraged? How would you leverage them? Would you leverage them through corporate training budgets? Would they be leveraged through corporations possibly? Do you think that we would have a Hewlett Packard or somebody like that who would be willing to give scholarships to some of these people? So for the training, anybody working with a large corps like that might be able to help?
Finding groups of like-minded organizations where we know that they support women returning back to work. We know that the banks have done this very well. RBC, there's a consortium actually of banks that work to bring women, return women back into the workforce and provide the training, provide the covering of costs. So I think it's a matter of scanning the environment around us to look for those like-minded organizations to bring them together as a consortium and not do the one-offs.
Yeah, and that might be the way to go, is to get a consortium together. It might be too difficult to do just to do on your own, but yeah, I can see that. I can see that would be. And I'm trying to think of something here that I'm familiar with. There are several now, our ways of doing things are a little bit the same and some a little different. We do have grants that are given out by our government for people to start groups like this, to do training and such. And that may, you may have somebody who has a foundation who wants to give a grant, like the Rockefeller Foundation or the Gates Foundation or something, who is willing to give you a large grant in order to start the program and develop it. And that may be a good way to go for the future. So I hope that it all works out the way that you're all hoping it will, because I'm excited to see that you are trying to, especially with the younger people, bring them into the business. They need some strength and some help. And the ladies coming back into the business, that's a whole different ballgame. I mean, you're talking two total ends of the spectrum here. And I'm excited about both of them for all of you. I think that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful programs that you're going to be able to set up. We're basically here at our 40 minutes. We've kind of covered a lot and gone in many directions. So I don't know if Babu is going to come back in and finish up here. I think that's what he intended to do. Or if we're to leave the room, and he didn't say. So I don't know how to go on about this, ladies.
One of the important things that we are trying to set as a target in this entire activity is to see how we can train, or how we can empower 100 plus women in this entire initiative. And if we can do empower 100 women, place them, get them job ready, and get them to the next level. So this is exactly what we want to do, and this is something that would do a lot of benefit for the community as a whole. And we have so many streams within financial services. You have insurance, you have banking, you have cybersecurity, you have technology, you have n number of things. Is it possible for us to take each and every level of organization and say that, hey, I can give mentorship to at least one or two such kind of categories, and then we can create session wise mentor in each thing? Will it be operationally too much of a hassle to manage it, or you think it is quite a achievable kind of thing? Because we don't want to reinvent everything from the scratch. Use some of the existing ecosystem and uh, embed it with our kind of mentorship. Do you think it is possible, or is it operationally too much of a hassle to handle it?
Well, I like the idea of uh, be an aggregator, meaning bringing things together instead of building it from the scratch. So that's definitely a doable idea. And I also like the idea of targeted group mentorship if we can, like instead of just one person, if there are two people who are chasing the same dream, then connecting with the right leader of, then it will definitely create that value. And once you can start to showcase that these women are now planted back into the workplace and they are thriving and shining, I think you're gonna get more interest from the governments, the other corporate sponsorship. Like, you have more, because you have delivered the value by helping the women. I think more and more organization would like to get on board with this initiative because everyone had that agenda in their corporate world.
The ladies mentioned a lot of collaboration, Babu, and I think they're right. The collaboration, like Geetika said, with the organizations that everyone is already working with, if you can get them together too, that's going to be collaboration with all of these organizations could be critical.
Superb. In fact, Rushmi is a part of a wonderful organization called as Rogers Cybersecurity Catalyst. I don't know, Mercy, if you know about it, very closely related to what you are doing. So, Rashmi, for your information, Mercy is a champion in cybersecurity and cyber insurance, which is another biggest kind of area in financial services, because without cyber insurance, things will not work in the future. So, these kind of collaborations with these ecosystems, and see how we can empower not just the newcomers but also back to work ladies, because you may need reskilling. The industry is moving at neck breaking speed today. With AI coming into picture, a lot of things are things of the past. I made this presentation which I showed to you in 10 minutes using an AI tool. Okay, so such kind of technology is coming. Reskilling using the existing ecosystem is one part of it. Rashmi, how have you been working with Catalyst in empowering these women to take things to the next level?
We have a program that we have for women in cybersecurity who are in a leadership role, and empowering them on breaking the glass ceiling through what we call the Emerging Leaders in Cyber program. Because we need to bring more chief information security officers, we need to see more VPs, leaders in cyber who are women. And this program is funded by MasterCard. And we're just right now accepting our third cohort of women. And it goes from deep technical knowledge all the way up towards understanding the business implication, how to speak to boards, preparing your board package. How do you talk to your leaders about risk, and what are the key growth areas within cyber? What are the geopolitical implications to your organization? The risk is internal to your organization. What does that look like? What is your identity access management solutions? So we go deep into creating this program that enables women to be able to have access to information and to be able to sit at a table that normally we see that women are not invited to sit at, to have these discussions. And so we want to create that table, create those opportunities. So when they return back into their organization, they can take on the leadership role. They know how to persevere to that breaking the glass ceiling. And so that's one of the places that we focus on. Another area that we look at is we've had a reskilling program, bringing women from backgrounds that are non-technical, non-cybersecurity And we've had chefs, lawyers, accountants shifting their careers into cyber. And we've been the enabler, and we make sure that all of our programs have a 50% gender parity. And that is the only way that is our commitment back to creating parity and breaking women into cyber.
Interesting. Angie, you have been with BDC. What is the kind of program that you have been doing to encourage this kind of inclusion and
Yeah, for sure. We try to at the bank to attend a lot of events to make sure that we're well represented. Specifically, I attend a lot of events that have to do with university recruitment. As we mentioned before, sometimes it's really hard to even have these jobs be visible to women. Sometimes jobs in finance can be sort of like a boys' club, in the sense that you only see the traditional male being represented, and making sure that we have visibility, that we go to younger students and say, you know what, like people that look like us and are women can also do this job. And just being there to answer questions, to like make it not seem like such a scary thing to get into. Like it's something that anybody can do. It's something that is open, and that there are people there to support you along the journey. So I also mentioned that I'm part of the Women in Venture Capital association. I'm part of Women in Tech, and it's just about like reaching and like how giving a lending hand almost, to being able to do that. And once you're within the job, it's very important to also have that mentorship, and not only being able to ask that, but what we found is most helpful is when women are in position to be leaders, to be able to give other women a seat at the table, but also be able to give them a voice and advocate for them a little bit. So that means including them in conversation, providing meaningful tasks, not just like administrative tasks, but things that actually enhance your experience, that add to your resume, that will actually help you along your career. So we found that being able to do that and being able to sort of be more in touch with the community brings more representation out there, and it gives women like the pathway to say, you know what, this is something that I can apply to, this is something that I can network myself into, and especially giving the confidence to advocate for yourself. Like a lot of these training programs are available. Like I work at a bank where we do have a big training budget, but you have to sort of like advocate for yourself, say, hey, I want to take these courses, I want to take this pathway with my career, and being able to find the support systems to get you there. Like sometimes you don't know what training courses are available, but being able to speak with people higher up who tell you, you know what, this is my pathway, these are the courses that I took, this is what I think can help. And yeah, the last bit is just being able to advocate for yourself and being able to ask for things with confidence.
it has been
The
an
bank also has a specific stream for women in tech. So we have the Women in Tech Forum, and that's a specific fund that's just dedicated to investing in women entrepreneurs, to investing in minorities. So the bank, not only within the career scope, but in terms of supporting women entrepreneurs, the bank is there to allocate money directly for just women entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of initiatives here at the bank that are dedicated to not only just supporting women in finance, but supporting women entrepreneurs in general.
Good.
superb. Arti, you have been into the tech space yourself. You have worked a lot into the tech space, and you work with a lot of interesting companies. How has your journey been? Especially, how have you been seeing mentoring the other women who want to get into the industry? How difficult or how easy has it been? And what kind of mentoring do you see women requiring in this area? And what kind of ecosystem you have seen?
Babu, like I mentioned before to the group, I have been there. Like I've had a 3 year gap. So what Rushmi and Angie mentioned, those programs are available, but how am I going to know about it, right? Uh, that's one of the biggest problems. For me, I got into like I've been mentoring with Access, Triac, and Women in Payments. So I have met people on LinkedIn, like people from very different industries, what they like the gaps, right? Like when they look at certain places, like I already mentioned, I met somebody from a finance background who had an 11-year gap, but she has been fundraising. To identify that, like she didn't even know. She actually met her husband And through LinkedIn, I know him. And then like, yeah, the conversation just happened that she wants to come back to work. So where do you go look, right? Like if women don't know that these programs exist, how are you going to bring that to them? Google is going to be your answer. Unfortunately, that's the truth. I actually Googled. That's what got me to Access. And I got
Super.
my first job at CIBC through Access, honestly. I mean, not directly, but from through a networking event and so and so. And the chain of events that happened is because I Googled, as simple as that. Yes.
Super. I think that is a great encapsulation. I think we need to create opportunities where we can help these women to network and also to guide them and mentor them as to how to go about, including simple things like writing a CV is a very important support that is required, because here nobody sees the CV as it is. It is first going through a AI, and then if the AI passes you, is only then you actually come across the
Up
actual
to an
person.
extent. Up to an extent. And I can tell you, like, I have talked to like HRs, right? Like, some companies might like ton of experience, while other companies I know specifically will take them out because they have too much experience and they don't know if they will fit in with their workforce.
Correct.
So you have to navigate through all of this, right? Like, and if you don't start that conversation, you're not going anywhere. And I know today I'm talking like this, but 8 years, 7 years ago, I did not, right? Like I didn't even know, and I don't even know what I'm saying is right. Can I go approach this person? Can I talk to this person? All of that. Past that comes all of these opportunities. But if you don't take that first step, and like and there are so many women I know that I talk to, once that they are past that, they're confident on finding themselves, okay, what do they want to know? But that particular, like that first step is extremely difficult. And
Extremely
as
important.
women, like I see men taking it all the time, honestly, right? Like they have no qualms, but women do. Again, like how do we like talking to them, like having that space and talk it, I don't even know how to bring that like
Super.
this way across,
Great.
right? Like
I think we have had a great conversation. This was a first experience that we have had where we did too many breakout rooms and tried to see how we can make the best. But I am really thankful to all of you that we could get it through properly. And a quick 5 minute encapsulation by both our moderators. Would you like to go first, Mercy?
Well, the ladies and I were talking a lot about collaboration as we got into this more and more with the businesses that they're already involved with the organizations they're already involved with, and how they can take what they already currently do and help it to mentor other women, and how Rushmi and I both feel the same way. You have to tell the story. You have to be able to tell the ladies the story of how you've done it and how you can help them move on through also. And I think it was a great 40 minutes that we had chatting back and forth. And I think you've got a good idea here, Babu, of what you're looking at. Getting these, if you can get them all to collaborate together. We talked a little bit about the funding. That's going to be, we're not quite sure about the funding or how to do the financing on it, other than I come from America, so we have a lot of foundations that will give grants to organizations like this for funding. Rebecca's probably done some of that before, have seen some of that in America. And so you may be able to get some grants for funding for this organization. But I think you've got a lot of women here who can be a great deal of help to other women coming into the business world. I really do.
When it comes to the funding, what I have seen is all the banks have got women specific business units.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies have got women specific business units. The angels have got women specific funding opportunities. Kate will agree with me. I have attended some of her interesting conversations of women specific funding ecosystem. It is not that it is not there, like Arthiy was telling some time back. If you don't ask, you don't get it. Okay, you should know where to ask first. And that is something which we can try to do. We can popularize it to the people that, hey, this is available here, this is available here, this is available here. So that is one of the most communication important that we can probably look at. Anything else you think, Rebecca? How about you?
Thank you so much for having me today, Babu. I just wanted to thank everyone for their contributions. We discussed a lot of fantastic things on basically open text. Some folks that were project managers and directors and senior managers talked about some networking issues some folks were having as well with diversifying their networks. And, I think that having the right partnerships, mentorship, and community building will really enable CSR and DEI initiatives. And basically, to summarize the discussion, I contributed a few things about Web3 and AI and smart contracts and technology that I have access to. And there's different leaders that I think could be brought in on next steps. There are a lot of experts. Like, we had an expert on data engineering on the call, which is really interesting. And also, we talked about the importance of communications, leadership, and management. And essentially, in terms of donor advised funds, I don't want to name the name of this, but something just sparked in my head from what was shared. And I don't want to go off topic too much, but I was recently presented with a project that is fairly early stage, but could enable folks to donate tax effectively to all kinds of charities and causes using the blockchain. And this is an initiative that fell close to my heart. And I just want to invite anyone to message me privately about getting involved, because we're looking for different charity partners for that one, as well as folks that might want to use the platform to, they're creating the global standard for tax receipts on the blockchain.
Do you think if we create something like a tax benefit for empowering a women-based,
Exactly.
enterprise?
Yeah, they could fund this initiative, and that might.
Yeah. So some such kind of initiatives, if it is lobbied with the government, and if we can create some such kind of community which can actually talk to the government and see if women-powered businesses can be given some specialized tax benefits, would it benefit, or is it there, or is it available today?
I think education is everything. So this programming, we want to teach people the trends in technology that are transformative and give folks opportunities to.
It is great that we have such a great ecosystem. We will keep building it. Thank you very much, everyone, for your wonderful participation, and look forward to make a difference to everyone together. Thank you very much.